Hey everybody, welcome to the 2 Shots Music Pod audio edition only, because we've had enough of you seeing our faces. Too much internet masturbation going on.
That's right. FCC has come in and put a stop to that video shit right now.
Too sexy.
For a little while. We're going to call it audio exclusive. Audio exclusive.
Yeah.
Yeah, just for the audio people. Yeah.
You know,
Hey, welcome back to 2 Shots Music Pod. Please subscribe on YouTube. We're still going to put it up on YouTube. You could be watching, listening on YouTube, and you can give us 5 stars. Leave a hilarious, dirty comment about how you want to see Stu's face again. You can do that over on Apple Podcast too, and follow us everywhere you follow people at 2 Shots Music Pod, because that's fun.
Hey, could we, like, at some point in time use an AI of some type? I'm sorry, I know you heard the term AI, to generate potential animations of this entire podcast?
I thought it was. That's why people didn't like it. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh.
Yes, we absolutely can. Do you want it to be realistic? By the way, I'm Michael St. James. That is Stu Miller. This voice that you hear right now,
that's me.
Is Stu Miller.
It's me.
It's me. Yes. Yeah, we can absolutely do AI shit. Now, do you want to look like a realistic AI, or do you want to look like
I would like us to have
like
tentacles.
a corny animation AI?
I think that if you're going to go that direction, you do what Ricky Gervais did with the Ricky Gervais show on HBO when it was on. They did the animations of that.
Yeah, but that's like ridiculously hard to make it look like Flintstones. That's like true animation. That's like hand-drawn, flipping the pages.
Yeah. Now, here's the other piece of this is like there's part of me
kind of animation though, 2D.
I do too, but there's part of me that's like I'm you know, my stomach is in knots saying things like this, because I, as a creative, I hear myself say, "Can we use AI to generate animation?" And there's some guy out there whose entire love of animation is just crumbling to the floor because art has been, you know, handed to the to Skynet.
Listen, I've produced 2 animation projects.
Oh,
actually
yes,
3, and I'm actually in the middle of one that's on pause for about 7 months.
Oh, wow!
That's the Rock Gospels.
Excellent.
And I love 2D animation. So people, if you don't understand, like Pixar animation is 3D animation. 2D animation is basically Simpsons, Family Guy. Just think about it that way, right? Mm-hmm. And I love old animation from, you know, back in the day, Bugs Bunny, you know, all that Looney Tunes kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And having worked and pitched and talked to multiple animation studios, it is so fucking expensive. And when you watch those shows, you will also see at the end of those, like a Family Guy or something like that, at the end of it, you will see hundreds of names from Korea.
Yeah. Outsourced labor.
Because, and so it's, so as much as we all want to talk about, we don't want to take away anyone's jobs, part of those jobs are like sweatshop factory animation jobs. They're horrible. I know a gal that works in, I can't say where because she listens to this, but I know a gal that works in animation, and I have mentioned this before. She spent her whole life studying design, art technique, and then she wanted to go into animation, right? She goes into animation. She gets the dream job at one of the big studios that rhymes with Pisney, and she ends up working on a toaster for like a year and a half.
Yeah.
Just the toaster in like 4 of the scenes of a movie that you've seen.
Yeah,
rhymes with
it's an insane
hoary.
number of, even like when you look at the visual effects team for like something like ILM or something like that, and or Weta or one of the, you know, effects houses that, you know, you enjoy, the names that come on, just like the guy that does the coloring, there's 1,000 of him.
Absolutely. And it's so, and I can tell you from producing it how hard it is to get to that point. Like it's and then like to get to the finish line, the rendering of all of it. Like I agree with art direction. Like you should have an artist involved. Like if you're going to generate, here's the way I want to see AI work in animation is I want to generate the like the skeleton work. So the skeleton work is basically like green screen and that sort of thing, where you actually still do the movements and you put that into like Blender, or there are like lots of different softwares that already kind of do this. But then you like put your skins on it, and your skins are basically the art. So I still think like there should be an art that generates like what the look and the feel of it is. But like all of the actual movement of the skeletons is so fucking time consuming. So to take the left arm from a hand down by the knee going up to its head is like 120 moves.
Yeah.
That's just for one thing.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's gotten a lot easier where now you can just drag it, and there's already been AI put into some of these programs, like even Adobe Animate, where you just drag it and it will create all those moves.
Yeah.
But so don't feel bad about it. We'll see.
My kid does a lot of stop motion stuff. Yeah. And when I say kid, this is now a young man, and I feel like an asshole for calling him a kid, but he'll always be my kid, so everybody can just get over it. And the amount of time it takes him to do like 15 seconds.
Oh my God!
Of animation. I mean, like watching the Guillermo del Toro Pinocchio. I think it was Pinocchio on Netflix. Is like just watching how they animate some of this stuff. It's just bananas. It's like, and it's so time consuming. And it's but the thing I think about is if I find somebody, I'd much rather work with somebody. You're right, an art director who it's like they love this. Yeah, it
should still be generated from like an art drawing, like for style. What are what does the mouth look like? What's the sizing? Is it is it outsized? Like Peter Griffin doesn't exist, but so you make that exaggerated. And like, so how you do that, or same with like a Homer or whatever. So that stylized way of 2D. And there's been a whole lot of, here's the other problem is that the industry just sort of cratered. Like you can go on Netflix and Hulu. There have been maybe 10 or 15 brand new adult animated shows that nobody fucking watches. Nobody. Yeah. And they're funny. Yeah. And my part, and you worked with us on one of these shows where my part of it is that I absolutely love the scripting, the screenplay. Yeah. I like being the executive producer of the audio and getting the vocal takes and the voice actors and that sort of thing, because it's basically an audio play, and then however you want to put it out to people visually, you can. Yeah, yeah. But it's that other part that takes 2 years before it's rendered out. And I mean, that's for 28 minutes. 27 minutes. It's so fucking hard. Yeah. I had a conversation with somebody about using AI in, and I said, everybody's just kind of throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks to a certain extent when they're using this kind of stuff, instead of it being like what you're talking about with, you have a person that is managing all this and's got the design aesthetics and got all the specifics laid out, and then utilizing these other generative tools to create the product. I mean, even if you decide at some point in time you do want to use a team of humans to do this, you can actually create a rough draft using generative AI. What would you rather I call it? Is it okay that I call it AI? I lost the battle a long time ago. Yeah, and it's even worse now with DeepSeek and that was hell of a thing this last LLMs. I told you I texted you in a rage a few days ago, telling you I had updated Microsoft Word, was about to type something. And the first thing it says is, would you like to use Copilot to help create this document? I was like, no, I would fucking not. I'm all over Google stuff, in my business life and for a lot of these projects. And every goddamn thing, I am part of some super duper secret Gemini. Like everything is like, by the way, you're part of this super secret Gemini group. Use that to help you with and I'm like, I don't want to use it. No. Okay, got it. I press that every time.
Yeah, got it. Understood. Thank you so much. I think there's still something. I mean, like, are we like old men yelling at clouds right now?
No, this is. I actually said this to James, a friend of ours, just recently about this. Is that the one good thing that could come out of this arms race about AI, because we've lost. It's not even about whether or not people use it or like it or don't. the VC money poured into it. There are just multiple places that are deploying it. Everything from the new iOS for Apple to all of the Google Android phones to now Los Alamos, which is fucking crazy, is going to have OpenAI 4.0 in it. DeepSeek is coming in, and now we're like, oh my God, China can do it cheaper. Here's the one thing that might come out of it. It may be that the taxation on the energy of the world, and I mean the world, not just America, but like everywhere it's used, will be so high for the actual amount of energy that it needs for the GPUs to do this shit, that we will finally get nuclear power, which will have to be deployed to people, which means power will be cheaper and cleaner. And I know everyone's, oh my God, nukes. Nuclear power is not what you think of in the 80s. It's so much different
Chernobyl.
now.
No.
We're getting so much closer to cold fusion. But nuclear power is not really burning, fuel cells and then putting them in a pond and hoping that it stays there for 1,000 years, which Fukushima, like that is just not what it is anymore. I mean, most of France runs on nuclear power. There's a lot of places that run on nuclear power, but no one wants it in their backyard, right? Because of the waste. NIMBY. That may be the outcome of this. By the way, did you know that that's the play for Greenland? The play for Greenland is for the reason why Trump and all those people want to buy Greenland. There's a few reasons why. Like every now and again he stumbles across something that's not a bad idea, but he just does it in a bad way because of global warming, because of climate change, extreme climate change. Greenland is melting, especially the northern part in the Arctic Circle. That is opening up shipping lanes that Russia wants to take over. It also means that it's opening up more raw elemental materials, which China owns most of the world's like rare earth materials, which go into your computer and your phone and all of that. And so if we get a hold in that, we would take like 20% of that market. We would also be able to like sort of monitor what the fuck Russia is doing with submarines and moving around global shipping lanes, because if they control that shipping lane, we will not be able to use it. But also, the other thing is that there's a wide swath of area where technocrats, and think here Musk and Zuck and Bezos and all that, they want to use Greenland as basically a power center for all AGI AI, especially over Europe and moving to the Middle East, where that would be the power generation. They could build a nuclear city and basically a techno city that holds all of the servers there, because it's naturally colder. So it's less to cool down. There is a whole reason for it other than I want to buy Greenland. There actually are good reasons for it. But then there's also the Danish and the Greenland people, and also the natives that still own part of the country. They're like, fuck you. I love that the Danish prime minister going, let me be very clear. Fuck you, Mr. President. Yeah, I love that. At the fucking UN, he said it.
Wow.
Yeah. He's like, let me speak in a language maybe you'll understand.
Wow.
Fuck you, Donald Trump.
That's like, there you go. Hey, by the way, I forgot I was on video. I wasn't on video there. And when you asked about the play for Greenland, I cocked my head like a spaniel. And what I should have said was, I did not know about this. Go ahead and explain to me. I apologize. Let's go ahead and cut that in later. Yeah, for the audio. For those of you not watching on video, which is none of you, I cocked my head like a spaniel, confused. And
so we just
snacks.
Naturally have gotten back into just blowing through sort of, 15 minutes of talking. And so instead of the rundown of be short, be quick. Fuck them. Who cares? Don't care. This is interesting.
I think it's interesting, and I also think it's relevant to this is still at its core a music podcast. We still talk about music. We still talk about but you did have a couple of very, very specific items about today's shenanigans,
which we're going to get to right now.
Yay!
Hey, it's Music Biz News time. Music Biz Bites. Here we go. It's going to be very quick, but Luminate's end of the 2024 music report came out. Luminate is the standard bearer on all of this. If you don't read that, you're not in the industry, so fuck off. It really is actually a really good report. But so let's just update some numbers so everybody knows what's going on in the streaming world. This is mostly about audio streaming.
Yeah.
We are now up to 202 million tracks on audio streamers. That's pretty good. Now, here's the weird thing. 87%, that's a lot if you do the math.
Yeah.
87% of those 202 million tracks have less than 1,000 streams for 2024. Less than.
Yeah.
That is 175 million tracks that have less than 1,000 spins. I personally have a few songs on that list. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Of all the music, and by the way, when you're dealing with the music industry and you see these reports, it is audio. Don't say music tracks, because audio tracks are involved in this as well. That could be comedy. That could be instrumentals. It could be like there's a whole lot of things that audio encompasses outside of just music. But I digress. Of all the music tracks, audio released and cataloged, 26.7 million tracks have more than 1,000 streams in 2024. So only 26 million out of the 202 million have more than 1,000 streams. And as we know, because this podcast told you last year, those are the only ones getting paid a goddamn thing. Anything whatsoever. Spotify stopped paying under 1,000 streams. So here's an interesting thing, though. 8.5 thousand tracks, more tracks, reached 10 million streams last year. So there were 8.5 million tracks that ended up going over 10 million in the last year. Now, this is what I think is really interesting. 140 million tracks have less than 10 streams per year, right?
Whoa.
So
You're not even trying at that point.
Let me just read that again. 175 million tracks have less than 1,000 streams. Of those 175 million, 140 million tracks have less than 10 streams a year. So that means you didn't even press play on your own track to see if it sounded good. And your mom didn't listen either. Neither did your girlfriend. If you have four members of a band, you should have at least 8 streams.
Yeah, I agree. Oh my God, that's insane.
Yeah, that is an insane number. And I also don't know like how Luminate got that number, because that is a hard number to get. I don't even know if Spotify actually turns that number over. Like, I don't see it.
Yeah. Interesting.
Now, here's another interesting part of this, really quick. Old songs, which, as we know, okay, so a brand new song is a song that's released in the last 18 months. A catalog song is a song that's released 18 months or later, right? Old songs now represent 75% of all streams.
Wow.
So,
over 18 months old.
Yeah.
Wow. That's saying something.
Now get this. Half of the market, if you add that 75% in, half of all streams is now called deep catalog. Those are songs over 5 years old. So what that tells you is the millennials are dipping back into My Chemical Romance and Fall Out Boy, and as well as your Led Zeppelins and your whatever. But this also means that all of the Taylor Swift shit, like from back in the day, you know, that would be, although she would still be in that sort of older catalog section of new songs released if it's Taylor's version.
Yeah.
But like, that's the thing, is that most, like half of the market are deep cut Betty, or like not deep cut Betties, but songs that have been out for a long, long time. Classic songs, probably.
Yeah.
You know, songs you grew up with. So what this means, and so Michael, what does this mean? It means that people are lazy and they're not looking for new music. On the whole, right?
Does surprise
in
us?
Aggregate.
This does not surprise us, though, right?
Did he say on the whole? Yeah. In aggregate.
On the whole.
But on the plus side of this, we know for a fact, because we work with some of the artists who are doing this.
Yeah.
It doesn't, of course, there's not 1,000 new artists breaking 10 million streams this year. There never have been. There's going to be, I'll just throw a few out there. Lawrence, there's going to be Madeline. There's going to be a few artists that are kind of newer to you who've been slugging it out for 5-6 years that finally break through this year. But that number is going to be 50, maybe 50 independent artists. We also know that I think half of the money is being paid out to independent labels. And independent rights holders, so independent artists.
Thank you.
I didn't say artists.
I think it's important. I think it's important. I noticed. I think it's important that what you just said was that these artists have been like, even though Madeline and Lawrence, the two of the people that two of the band's creative entities that we've been paying attention to for a few years, are starting to break through. They've been at it for a while. It's not like they just woke up one day and behold my 10 million streams.
Totally.
It's been a consistent doing the things that maybe Michael and Stu have been telling you to do. Just saying, guys, for 5 years.
And then there are brand new artists like Sawyer Hill, who's breaking through, but like he's not going to blow through 20 million streams either, and he's blowing up. But just understand, this doesn't mean you can't make a living in music. You see these numbers and you think, oh my God, there's, the majority of tracks of this 202 million or, the 175 million tracks have less than 1,000 streams. Okay. All right. But you can still be one of the 25 million.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that doesn't mean that everybody's going to make it. And we say that all the time. That doesn't mean that everybody's going to make it or it's going to happen this year. But you could be one of the artists with 40, 50, 60,000 this year and then raise that up to 150,000. You're building and you're building. And then in a few years, you're that artist with 10 or 20 million.
Yeah.
That's the problem is a lot of people see this and they're like, oh, well, if I don't get 20 million streams, I can't make any money. Not true.
Not true. It's a combination of factors, really. It's like you got to do everything, and they will all generate small pockets of revenue. Yeah, and the revenue streams will grow organically if you continue to just do the bare minimum. Even if you just do the bare minimum.
I spoke to someone who was part of this reporting. And here's what I found really interesting that you're not going to see in any of this stuff. Audio exclusive. You're only going to get it here. But you know what they don't have is how much the direct to consumer sales of physical there are right now. Like there isn't an aggregate number that they can tell you of how many independents have sold, whether it's CDs or vinyl, and what that financial number is.
Yeah.
So like when you look at an artist like Lawrence and you're like, oh shit, God, they've blown up. They've been everywhere. They toured the world, Australia, back to the US. Yeah. They've done all this shit. And their streams are not huge. I mean, I think it's 83 million or something like that, all combined. And like they should be a lot bigger with that kind of big thing, right?
Especially they're playing the theaters they're playing.
But they're making damn good money out there too.
Yeah.
But what they're not showing you is the merch sales and the straight to vinyl and the limited release sales, because they don't have to report it. And it's not really a reportable number right now for a lot of independent bands.
Yeah.
So like, that number that you need to make up on streaming, you can make up in straight digital. And yes, I know. By the way, I want to mention this because we're all freeform audio now. I want to mention, because we don't have, fuck the rundown. Here's what I want to mention. I was watching a documentary from Terry Jones, one of my favorite people ever from Monty Python.
Monty Python.
Rest in peace. And he was doing this documentary on the Middle Ages, on the medieval time, about bards and about musicians in like the 1300s.
Yeah.
And he pointed out, because he's also a musician and a songwriter, but he pointed out in this documentary that ever it has been so, musicians, even in the 1300s, had to know how to make a peacock sound, how to juggle more than 3 balls. They had to know how to shine shoes. They had to
Yeah.
tell a joke. There was a song, I believe it's in the 1300s, that was the banger of the day. And every bard had to learn it. It's
Yeah.
4,000 lines long.
Wow.
So
Wow.
the longer you could get through it by memory, the more popular you would be. They would put the bards up in
Yeah.
the, where the king was or whatever. They would
Yeah.
put them up in the rafters so they couldn't mix with the people. That's why we have stages where you look up at a musician. So you're
Wow.
not with the people who paid, so they can't talk to them.
Yeah.
But ever it has been so, you almost had to be
Yeah.
a break dancer. You had to
Yeah.
know how to play trumpet as well as lute, as well as because they would use the musician to herald the beginning of the battle. And so they would walk a musician out in the middle of a field, 300 people on either side, full armor, and the musician had to sound the horn.
Poor fucker.
And then run like a motherfucker. So you also had to
Yeah.
run.
Yeah.
But he was making the point. So this is the reason I bring this up. For all of you people are like, I don't think being
Yeah.
a musician should be selling shirts, you guys. Or are you guys, how can we have to do all this other shit? I just want to do music.
Yeah.
You guys.
Yeah.
So anyway, the whole point is it's always been this way.
It's always been this way. Yeah. Yeah. You're
Drummers and
selling
jazz
something.
bands had to know how to sell weed. Okay.
Yeah.
Listen.
I was thinking the same thing like 5 years ago, or not 5 years ago, like
When we were
20 years
selling
ago,
X? Yeah.
when I was selling ecstasy. When I was on tour all the time. I was on tour for 5 to 7 years straight, pretty much 100+ dates a year, before we started seeing some numbers show up at gigs consistently. We had 2 records out by that point in time,
Yeah.
that we were selling out of our car, and T-shirts and stickers and all that kind of stuff. It's always been this way. The delivery mechanism has changed.
Yeah. Yeah.
The same
it's
thing.
Always been
You
this
still
way.
have to do it.
And you have to be multi-talented. It sucks, but
Yeah.
this is the job. It always has been
Yeah.
the job.
Always
too.
has been.
It's
And-
not
and
that
that's the
it's
thing that's hard.
changed.
Nope.
Unless you are an entertainer star, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if you're a Frank Sinatra, if you're a Beyonce, but even then, they're all triple threat people too.
Yeah.
But I mean, you don't have to be. Like, if you are that fucking good at singing and you look great and you have a great fashion sense and you're just fucking cool to be around, well, yeah, you
Yes.
can be that person. You probably don't have
Yeah.
to sell the T-shirts. You probably don't
Yeah.
have to.
Yeah.
But like, so few of us are that person. But even if you are that person, we also know that even now, like someone like Billie Eilish is like hugely involved in the visuals of her digital
Absolutely.
screen
Yeah.
and her set. Like you
Yeah.
should want to be involved in selling the
Yeah.
coolest fucking T-shirt on the road.
Yeah,
You should want
absolutely.
to be involved in designing the vinyl, you know?
You should want to be involved in all of the design aspects of your career.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
By the
right.
way, sidebar, Billie Eilish, there is a video of her playing in Denver doing her looping thing on
yeah?
stage in a silent ball arena. Like, she had to have people like, shut the fuck up, I'm about to loop live on a microphone in front of however many tens of thousands of people. And it is fucking cool.
I did not see that show, but I heard it was amazing.
Go find video of it. It's
I
fucking
love watching
cool.
the
Yeah.
video of all of her shows, and like
Yeah, me too.
there's a Vanity Fair of like her opening her tour in Toronto. There's
Yeah.
a nice video of that, of like what it's like the day of the show,
Wow.
and
cool. I'll
like
have to check
behind
that
the
out.
scenes, and like her on a skateboard and you know,
Nice.
craft
Very
service.
cool.
I love all that shit. I like behind the
Me
scenes.
too.
porn. Yeah.
I love that stuff. Backstage
Speaking
stuff.
of which, if you haven't seen all of the Saturday Night Live stuff coming out, I don't know if you're a fan, but even if you're not, some of it's so fucking interesting. Over there on the Cock, they got a bunch of SNL stuff.
They do.
It's very confusing right now, okay? So here's what it is. There's a movie from Reitman that is
Yeah.
called Saturday Night Live that is about
Yeah.
the first night of Saturday Night Live, the opening night. It's not
Yeah.
a documentary. It's not a biopic. It's a bunch of stories mashed into it to make you feel like that's what the opening night was. But it's like
Yeah.
the original cast members. It's a movie. It's stylized. It's time. It's based on the time. Okay.
Yeah.
So there's that movie. I believe that is on Netflix.
Excellent.
Over there on the Cock, you can find 50 years of Saturday Night Live, and there are 4 separate shows right now that are kind of documentaries. The first one is called 5 Minutes, and it's basically about a whole bunch of the opening auditions. You get to see the performers do their 5-minute audition for Saturday Night Live, which is fucking great.
Nice.
The second one is more cowbell. They did a 48-minute documentary on the cowbell sketch. Josh Homme is in it.
Wow.
Fucking Dave Grohl is in it. First time you've seen Dave Grohl since the big brouhaha, by the way.
Oh.
Will Ferrell is in it. Daryl Hammond, like all of the people, and they break down how this cowbell episode, how the sketch happened, how it became a worldwide phenomenon. Like it's so fucking Saturday Night Live because it's like, let's do a whole documentary on one sketch.
Yeah,
and they
so
do.
Cool.
They break it all down. They talk to all the Blue Oyster Cult members, 3 different producers that actually were part of Don't Fear the Reaper. Like who actually played the cowbell on the thing? Was it a wood block? Was it a cowbell? Was it the second producer? Why they named the producer, the guy that actually plays the cowbell in the sketch, Gene Frankel? Why Will Smith named it? I'm not going to give any of it away, but like it is so worth your time to go find more cowbell, the documentary for Saturday Night
I'm
Live.
going to watch that.
There's also 2 or 3 more that I'm working my way through. It's excellently produced. Daryl Hammond does the voiceover, just like he actually did the narration on the sketch.
Yeah.
It's fucking great. And then, lastly, there's 50 years of SNL music that just dropped from Questlove.
Excellent. Fantastic.
And this also has really the first public interview that Dave Grohl's done since the whole brouhaha.
Yeah.
So I have not seen that. I'm about to. But
I've got some friends that texted me and said it's wonderful.
Yeah. If you're down for SNL, it's a great time because there's all of this stuff. And then in February, on a Sunday, I think February 17th, something like that. But middle of February, you can look it up. But that is when the 50-year anniversary special is going to happen. And it's not on Saturday Night Live. It's on a Sunday.
Wow.
I don't know what the fuck they're doing over there.
Yeah. Well, it's Saturday somewhere, right?
Yeah. So there you go. Lots of SNL stuff. Start over on Peacock.
Yeah.
Cock.
I had a friend tell me that he was a little surprised it didn't interview Ashley Simpson.
Oh, totally. So many fucking moments, and God, was that one of them.
Yeah. And
you got to have a dump button if you're going to track, if you're going to do tracks, man.
Yeah, exactly.
And do not do the hillbilly dance. Remember her doing that little hillbilly dance?
Do.
Like, oh my God, this is going horrible. I'm going to kill myself.
But again, that is a green performer with a lack of stage time.
Yeah, who blew up weight? She shouldn't have been on the show.
No.
She shouldn't have been on the show. You know where I stand with SNL live performances. It is the worst mixed live performance on TV I've ever seen, almost always.
Yeah.
Hozier last year was probably one of the best ones I've ever heard.
Yeah.
And then they get really good when they do intimate, like Billie Eilish and Phineas was good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, I'll point it out when it's good, but God, it is so often just horrible.
Well, it's live, baby. Come on.
Timothy Chalamet did great.
Yeah.
On the Bob Dylan stuff.
Yeah.
He live, no sweetening on the voice.
I haven't watched any of that yet. I have not watched. What's the name of the movie? He's the Bob Dylan.
Complete
biopic.
Unknown.
Yeah, that one. I have not seen that yet, but look forward to reviewing.
Are you a Bob Dylan fan?
I am a Bob Dylan fan as much as I respect his contribution, and some stuff I really love. Like Blood on the Tracks is a good fucking record.
Okay, that's my answer, yeah.
Yeah.
I love his Christian shit.
Yeah. But it's, sometimes I'm just kind of like, I mean, again, it's like, he's a auteur. He's an artist. He's gonna, he's been pushing his own boundaries for
you have frozen.
60 years.
Can I hear you?
Yeah. No.
Okay, there. Yeah. I also think he stole Woody Guthrie's thing. I'm not the only one who thinks that.
No, you're not the only one who
he
thinks
just
that.
sort of rewrapped it, but it's not like he was the only folk singer that use poetry in songs. And
yeah. There was, I mean, like, you could go like James Taylor, Jim Croce. You can go down the list.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I think Neil Brennan put it great. He's like, it's a movie about a guy who wanted to switch a guitar. I mean, the thing is that none of us are old enough. Yeah, not even me. I'm not even old enough to where it's like to know what that pressure. This is all about the Montreux Jazz Festival where he started playing electric guitar and he wasn't supposed to, and you're supposed to be a pure folk singer or not, and all of that sort of thing. And that was a crossroads in Bob Dylan's life. I at least know that much, but I don't understand it. Like because I wasn't alive at the time, so I don't understand the constraints that the world had put on him, apparently. But I also do know a little bit. I read a little bit about the book on him and like the whole idea that he just basically made up his life a few times. Like where he was from and they moved and they changed who he was. And, he just basically lied about who he was, which is great. I mean, that's what you're supposed to do as an artist.
Yeah.
But I'm a fan of vocalists, so it's pretty hard for me to listen to Bob Dylan. But I like looking at the songs. This is why I really like hearing Chalamet do it, because even just changing the voice a little bit, and he does it well.
Yeah.
I think it hit me. I was like, God damn, I get it. Like I can get it with that with someone's a little bit less nasally, a little bit more singing, but not a professional singer. I'm down for that.
Yeah, I kind of get this way, but I also think to myself then about like people like Leonard Cohen or Tom Waits in particular, when they're like their voices were not.
Yeah, why do I like Leonard Cohen and not Bob Dylan? That's weird.
I don't know. I think there's a warmth to Leonard Cohen's voice that
what if it's
Dylan does not have. But I also I respect and understand why Dylan is a legend. I understand it.
Yes, absolutely.
So,
all right, let's actually get to something. By the way, if you're listening to this tonight is the FireAIDLA thing. Go on YouTube. Gotcha. We'll have the link on this if you're listening on YouTube. We'll have the link wherever. But it's everywhere. It's going to be on Peacock and Paramount and YouTube and pretty much fucking everywhere. So if you're, and I imagine they're going to have a way for you to scan a QR code or text or whatever to help out. But there's going to be some pretty amazing performances. I think we've already been through them. And I mean, who doesn't want to see Peso Pluma? I will also tell you that I got a note from someone in my little sphere that was like, hey man, make sure that you mention, because you didn't in the past podcasts, that Black Crowes have been added. I'm like, oh, well that will seal the deal. Yeah. I mean, if you weren't there for Billie Eilish or Lady Gaga or, Joni Mitchell or, whatever, Black Crowes now. Yeah. So now you guys you can totally watch. Or Sting or Dave Matthews playing with John Mayer for the first time ever, or, Opa. But now Black Crowes. Yeah. So just so you know. Okay, I said it. There you go, Tom. I said it.
I done said it.
Look, I love Black Crowes, but
I do too. I like them. I like it when I like certain parts of the Black Crowes, mostly the lower half.
I think that's racist. All right. Let's turn you on to some new music. Stu has the old song and the new song this week. We have a new song that he's going to bring up and then an old song that we want you to listen to. This is your homework for you to be a better informed listening person.
I'm going to be the guy that talks about a friend of mine, somebody I met through the industry who I just kind of dug their energy, like this is a guy named Cal Sai. He's kind of a
hi everybody, it's Cal Sai.
Hi. He's kind of an R&B singer, rapper, multi-instrumentalist, kind of a bedroom producer, does a lot of stuff at home. I think he and his lady are traveling around the world right now because he just put out an entire album. He released a song essentially every week for I don't know how long. I think for 2 months, 3 months maybe. Right. He just basically made videos for all of them, and they're not exploding. But, he's got a few, respectable numbers here and there. But the song I want to talk about was one of the first ones he put out was a song called Wish You Would, which is a smooth jam. It's got a cool laid back chorus. If you're sitting in a frozen tundra, if you're in Pittsburgh and you're annoyed at the weather and you want to feel a little bit of island goodness, Cal's got some flow for you. It makes you feel like you're on a beach. And it's beautifully produced. It's like his voice it sounds really warm and sweet, and his flow is easy, and it doesn't really build as a song. It just kind of floats along in its way, but the hook is solid. The instruments are beautifully played. I love that it starts with a chorus. Yeah. It's just a good, and I met this guy through a British, it was an app for a while. They had it was like a contest, for independent musicians. You basically upload your song. You allow the public to vote for, who you like. It was called 1212. So I had some friends who were involved in starting it, and Cal was one of their on staff kind of, guys. I don't actually remember exactly what he did, but he called me every couple of weeks and said, "Yo, got a question about Spotify." And it's exactly what he sounds like, or whatever. Yeah. And so, we tried to connect over. Thank you. I thought my accent work was good. And so he started putting out. He told me he was doing his own thing, and then when he released it, he just released it all up at once, got it all out, and has continued kind of working some things. And now he's off on the road with his lady. So
I love it. It's kind of reggae. It's British reggae.
Yeah, so it's very British sounding. Yeah, look at us back in England again.
You'll be familiar with it if you've heard some sort of British artists that are sort of influenced by a little bit of reggae. I wouldn't even call it reggae. It's sort of island music.
Yeah.
So
very much
a little calypso, there's a few different styles in there. It's not purely reggae.
Yeah.
But.
And his other stuff's not quite like that. It's like he kind of drifts in and out of things. He doesn't really go too deep into any other genres.
Yeah.
It's all kinds of floats around this area, but it's just super cool, and you put it on at a party, and everybody will have a fucking great time.
Yeah, this is a banger, patio playlist kind of thing. I mean, toes in the sand, beer in your hand, that kind of playlist. Put it in your ears. It's great. Or if you're on a rooftop patio, all dressed up, doing a little coke in the bathroom. You guys don't do that. But if you are doing that. It'd just flow through it doesn't, this is a beauty. I think people forget this, that sometimes there's those kind of songs. This is one of them where it doesn't have peaks and valleys. It doesn't get totally exciting and come way down or whatever. And there is an absolute place for that sort of, I could tell you as someone who's done DJing, there's an absolute place for that where you're I put this on, I know nobody is offended, and you don't know why, but you just feel like you're in a cool mood, man.
Yeah.
And she looks sexier, he looks sexier, everybody just kind of, the bartenders are cool, everybody's just nice. We're floating around here, man.
And that's the energy of Cal as a person, too. So it's really cool that his music translates that. Again, find a way for people to love you, they'll find your music.
Cal Sai, everybody, Wish You Would.
Yeah.
I wish a motherfucker would. Speaking of coke in the bathroom, what's the old song?
The old song. As far as I know, this band wasn't coke in the bathroom kind of band, but they are associated with a certain amount of LSD usage.
Yeah, a certain amount.
A certain amount. Copious. I think Sid Barrett did all of it, and that gives it away. I'm talking about Pink Floyd, everybody. My old song was Echoes by Pink Floyd. It is the second longest track of their catalog. A little behind, what's the one that's a little bit longer? Atom Heart Mother. It's 8 seconds shorter than Atom Heart Mother, something like that. And it's I chose I think the link I sent you was David Gilmour's Live in Gdansk version from like 2007 on the On an Island tour. Number one, I fucking love this song. It's one of those songs that I love because it's a journey. It starts in one place and it kind of ends up in the same place, but the journey you go on to get there is gorgeous. The lyrics are incredible. It's kind of a thematic thing about, disconnection and empathy and human contact and stuff like that. Something that Roger Waters continues to talk about on Animals and The Wall and Dark Side and all that kind of stuff. It was written in such a way that they kind of like, it was like a bunch of disparate pieces of other like the abandoned things, and they would record it like based on like, hey, some of the musicians would record one piece and then not tell everybody else what it was going to be, and just like fire the tape up and say go.
Oh, wow.
So some of the pieces were a little disparate and stuff like that, but recorded on 16 track. I love the limits of 16 tracks. Means you have to.
Did they play it all the way through for the first time only live? They never recorded this all the way through?
No, they recorded it all the way through eventually.
Oh, okay, so that was like while they were building it out.
Yeah, and so it began as a collection of like separate kind of experiments, and they were from previous sessions, and then they were arranged it in order to make a kind of a coherent piece.
Because it's hard to write a 23.5-minute song.
It is, but some, it wasn't a whole thing. But some parts were featured, like various band members playing without any idea of what the other piece sounded like. They'd go in, they'd be like, it's in this key. And it'd be like they'd have like notes like, this one smells like cheese. This one's like the sounds like the galaxy. This one is romantic, and then bring it up tempo, like just like dumb things like that.
LSD kids.
But the chord progressions in this song are fucking amazing. Like there's some beautiful flips between major and minor to that support a beautiful 3-part harmony on the main melody. Also, Roger Waters has called out Andrew Lloyd Webber. I don't know how many times because of the part of the song that sounds like the Phantom of the Opera theme. And he actually ended up calling him out on a later solo record. And he said he was going to sue, but he couldn't be bothered. How British is that, by the way?
The rolling chromatic dissonance between keys, right? Like that's...
Yeah. I was going to sue him, but I didn't want to.
Funny. When you hear it, you will absolutely hear it.
You'll absolutely know it, yeah. But it is... it was the basic tracks were recorded in Abbey Road, and they.
And where's that?
It's in London.
Oh,
is it in London? Is it in London proper?
Oh, I think so.
There's gonna be somebody adding me later. Anyway, the reason I picked the Gdansk version, David Gilmour that's on the Live in Gdansk version, 2008. There's different versions on the video versus the.
Aren't we supposed to argue? Don't people
audio.
argue about Pompeii versus Gdansk?
Well, but Pompeii was all the Pink Floyd guys, and that's a great version. But the reason I picked the Gdansk version is because it's actually one of Rick Wright's last tours. I think it is his last tour. Yeah. Before he passed, because he died in September of 2008, and I think this is the last one of the last live tours he ever did before he passed. Yeah. So it's a treat to see the guy that you can watch the Pompeii one. It's incredible, and to have those guys sound as good as they sound.
Yeah.
And there's and if you look at the PA they're running with, it's
totally.
Yeah, it's like a PV 212
amphitheater of rock.
Yeah. So the Pompeii version is fantastic, but the reason I chose the Gdansk version is because of the Rick Wright connection. But listen to the album, listen to Metal. I was going to call it Saucer Full of Secrets, but that was the wrong album. Listen to Metal. It's a great record. It's really where you start hearing them transition from We Were Sid Barrett's psychedelic experiment to the kind of psychedelic prog adventure that became, Dark Side, Animals, Wish You Were Here.
Yeah, this is where they started getting into almost writing more pop songs, proper songs. Yeah, let's put it that way instead of just instrumental experiments.
Yeah, it's a really fucking great tune, and it's got a real good journey to it. Anyway, that's my old song. Well, that's my old Greg.
I would also say we're gonna post the links to the YouTube version of it. If you can, watch the YouTube version. I mean, do listen to it if you have high audio and all that kind of stuff. But it's really cool to see it done live on video and to see the crowd. It's pretty cool to see it.
Yeah.
Also, let's just do a little bit of cleanup. Abbey Road is absolutely in London.
Okay, thank you.
The borough of Camden, in the city of Westminster.
It is
St.
right
John's
there.
Wood.
Know
For
exactly
those
where
of
that
you
is.
in London, NW8 is where it is. NW8.
Specific
Shout
postal
out to
code area.
James Acaster. SW5.
Yeah.
NW8.
SW5. Yep.
All right. A lot of people have no idea what the fuck that means. That's all right. You can look it up. It's funny for those who know.
It is funny for those who know.
If
All right,
you know,
let's
you
get
know.
to Sing. Yeah. I talked enough. You go.
All right. I will do a little bit of Seek of the Week. I am watching a new show on Apple TV called Prime Target.
Ooh.
Yes. Prime Target, how do I put this show? It is basically Goodwill Hunting meets Jason Bourne kind of shit.
Okay.
So it's geeky as fuck because it's about prime numbers and math.
Excellent.
And it's about like the NSA always keeps tabs on the world's mathematicians because they're the ones who are the most dangerous people in the world.
Fantastic.
I know, it's
All
a
right.
crazy fucking pitch.
Yeah.
I love it. I'm not a mathematician. Okay. I don't know at all what the fuck they're talking about. I don't really care. But it takes place in Cambridge, and it's got a little bit of the shit I dig, spy stuff. Mm-hmm. So it gets into that. And I like when TV shows take big swings. Mm-hmm. I have seen some stuff online about this that it is horrible, that it is ridiculous. That it's, like, oh God, here we go. They're trying to break codes. Mathematicians are so smart. Like, why don't you use computers, man? And he goes, because they're too slow. That kind of shit.
Whoa.
If you like the 3-Body Problem on Netflix, which we've talked about here before, sort of like esoteric and science-based entertainment, you might like this. It's not as sci-fi as that. But it is. I don't know. I dig it. I don't care. I'm in 3 episodes, and I really like it. In fact, the first 2 episodes, you have no idea what's going to happen. By the time you get to the end of the episode 2, you're like, okay, I'm fucking in. I'm totally in. At least me. So anyway, season 1, episode 3 starts out with a jump back to 1994 in Cambridge as part of the open, and there's like this sexual party happening, kind of
Sexy
at a
party.
nightclub, and people are dancing, and the song is Garbage Queer.
Oh, great song.
So that's a great song. It sets the mood. It sets the time. It's sexy as hell. As someone who was at one of those parties in the 90s, that I can confirm this song was being played at some point. And it was absolutely one of those things. It's a welcome release from the tension. The score is very good, in my opinion. But there aren't a whole lot of drops yet. But apparently there's about to be, because Spotify has a whole playlist about them.
Ooh.
But so Garbage Queer is the drop on this. But here's what's funny about it. I'm gonna shout out to the supervisor, Sarah Bridge. Okay, the music supervisor, Sarah Bridge. The show is Prime Target on Apple TV. The song is Garbage Queer. However, it says on the screen it's jumping back to 1994 in Cambridge. Sarah, I have to tell you, that song didn't come out until 1995. The album didn't come out until the spring of 1995. Now, maybe they knew the band and this was the demo version in 1994. But you fucked up the timing. The song didn't come out until the fall. And this was on the self-titled Garbage album, which I'm Only Happy When It Rains. All the bangers that you love from Garbage. Not all of them, but it was a monster fucking album in 1995, not 94. And that's kind of important when you're trying to set time. And so this is one of those songs, as a music supervisor, that really pisses me off. You're setting the date, and they could have set it. You could have set it in 1995. It's just a number. Who gives a fuck? It doesn't matter. But it's such an egregious error that it really pisses me off. Well, you don't know if
it doesn't matter until, later on.
But most people won't know this. most people won't dig into it. Most people will be like, oh, garbage. Mid-90s, sure. Yeah, but like literally mid-90s, like one more year later. And so if you're trying to set the time, so this is for all you aspiring music supervisors out there. Just Google it and don't trust AI. Maybe go get the album. Maybe go get the liner notes. Maybe look at some other things and double check your fucking work. Because I don't like that this song was used to set the time in 1994 when it clearly was not released.
You know, I just so you know, I remember going to see the movie Transformers, the first Transformers, when it came out. That's the one. That's the one that had that song on it. Absolutely. And I'm walking out. We're walking out with a couple of friends and the lady I'm dating at the time. And there's a guy behind me, and we're leaving. And he hears, "Well, that was so unrealistic. Optimus Prime would never do." And I hear this bitch about the realism of a movie that was about robots that turn into cars. So.
Okay, your point's well taken, but this isn't that.
I know.
It's not like they were wearing Victorian clothing.
Yeah.
Like you're trying to actually set the time.
Yeah, like I understand what you're saying.
It wasn't in 94. You're fucking wrong. And you should be whipped for that. Or whatever the new equivalent of whipped is.
Let's go ahead and just assume that it was the demo version and somebody knew the band. And it was, I saw on
Here's the other thing. It was on
CD.
vinyl.
Oh, no.
Which,
so that's
by the way,
wrong.
there was not vinyl happening in 94 or 95 really
that's
at all.
That's not wrong. He had a
of new
burn
music?
CD.
Yeah, it would have been the CD. And so if it was the vinyl, then it wouldn't. If it was the demo, it definitely wouldn't have been on vinyl.
You can't do coke off of a record, though.
Well, you can, but it just has to be an older record, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway.
Well, it's hard to use a record player in the bathroom.
Wow, it really is. Like, can you imagine trying to cut it? Like, just the edges.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's a solid rage-filled sync right there.
That's right. That's right. So there it is. Prime Target, Apple TV. Give the show a shot, I think.
I'm going to give it a shot. It's on my list.
To watch. But like, I really dig it. I'm probably going to go to hell for it because I think a lot of people do not like it.
That's okay if they don't have to.
That's right. Fuck them.
You know, like you like what you like, and if you don't like it, that's okay. But
I will also tell you this: the show is so good that I have continued watching it even in spite of this error. And you know me, music supervisor error happens, I might just throw the whole thing out the window and like my laptop and the whole thing. I'll never watch it again.
Yeah, okay,
but it is so good. And the thing is that the song is so good.
Yeah,
it works so well for the scene. Just change the date, dude.
Yeah.
God.
God, yeah. I'm sorry you're so angry. Mine is if you're finished raging at the machine.
I'm finished.
Mine is also on Apple TV. Yeah. Well, she's never gonna fucking work with you now.
Probably not. That's all right. She agrees. I'm sure she would agree with me. It was probably a producer or director fuck up. She probably got the notes. It was like 95. Look, this rarely happens in music supervision because you have like the time. Like it's not like she knows. She knows the information because you got to talk to the publisher and the label. I mean, it has it on your cue sheet. Like when it was released, like it's on there usually. So I'm not blaming Sarah. I'm going to blame the director.
All right.
I don't know whose fault it is, but I don't like that it's there.
Okay.
I also don't like that it's on Apple TV because Apple TV is like perfect in my eyes.
That's because, they're just doing the things. Yeah, it's great stuff. Speaking of which, my sync of the week to just rein this thing, like a runaway train in here, is also on Apple TV. And that is, I finally finished Bad Monkey.
Bad Monkey.
And I thoroughly enjoyed. I thought the first half was really, really, really good. And Vince Vaughn is so fucking charming. It's like like swingers Vince Vaughn living on a beach in the Florida Keys. His dialogue is quippy. It is a Bill Lawrence joint. So that means that Krista Miller is our music supervisor again. With Troy Von Purview, and it was the whole bunch of Tom Petty cover songs that ended up in this. Now you've done this. Did you do the same song as me? You did a different song from this, didn't you?
I think I did a different song. Yeah.
Yeah, but mine was, and it was. I heard everything else, and it was all fine. Like "Stop Dragging My Heart Around" was really great. You know, it was a bunch of really, really great, you know, songs. But it was Nathaniel Rateliff. Shout out, love you, buddy. Glad you're doing so good. His cover of "Don't Come Around Here No More," because production-wise, like, and the scene, the chaos of some things that are happening. I don't want to give any spoilers, sweetie. The pulse that's in that, dun, 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 it's so fucking well produced, and his voice sounds incredible on it. It's not the Night Sweats, although it probably is the Night Sweats.
Right.
It's just credited to Nathaniel Rateliff.
Not legally.
It is. It's a really, really well done cover, and it really, really does elevate the scene, which I always love when a song. Like we talked about the use of "Great Gig in the Sky" and "The Diplomat" at the end of season 1. Like any song that does that thing where it lifts the scene and elevates the scene, like that's a needle drop that gets me excited.
Absolutely.
You know, like when they're writing it, are they listening to this song? You know, and going, I want that energy in this scene. You know. Anyway, so you knew the story of why it was all Tom Petty cover songs. I did not.
Yeah, because they wanted to use Tom Petty to set Florida.
Yeah.
And a certain feeling of Florida, even though Tom Petty's kind of, I think, from northern Florida, Tallahassee or something like that.
Tallahassee, I think, yeah.
But so they talked to the publisher and the family of Tom Petty.
Yeah.
And I think the daughter is the one that runs the estate now. And
Excellent.
so, but they wanted to use like the initial thought was like all Tom Petty tracks.
Yeah.
But instead of that, they wanted to like sort of celebrate Tom Petty. And so the music supervision team, so it's Krista Miller and
Troy Von Purview.
Yeah. So what they wanted to do, and also Bill Lawrence behind his exec producer, is like expand the Tom Petty universe. And so they reached out to a few people and said, hey, let me give a shot at this Tom Petty song. We kind of want to see if we could use it in a thing or whatever. Every single one of them that came back was amazing.
Yeah, yeah.
And so they just couldn't not use them.
Yeah.
And then they were like, okay, well, let's just let's go for broke now. And the daughter was like, absolutely, whatever you want to do, we'll give full rights on everything. But this way they didn't have to deal with the label, because there were some label things that got caught up in masters that were purchased or whatever. So like the whole Tom Petty catalog isn't just in one place on the master side, but it is on the publishing side.
Yeah.
And so it was much easier as a reach to do this.
Yeah.
And just more of a like creative way to do it.
Yeah.
Like if you're going to take a big swing like that and go, I want to use all Tom Petty songs, but also as a music supervisor and an exec producer, you also know, as much as you would love to use a Tom Petty cue 3 times every episode, not every one of those fits that vibe of island style, especially when they're in the Caribbean. Yeah. Not every one of those songs fits like sort of the moment when you hear a Tom Petty voice, you know, like "Don't come around here." No, like if you hear that voice 3 times in an episode, not great.
Yeah,
you may love Tom Petty, but like over a season, you would want to throw in a female vocalist. You would want to throw in a different kind of vibe, and that's what they did. And by the way, nominated for the Guild Music Supervisor Awards.
Fucking awesome.
We'll see what happens with Outstanding Music Supervision for the Emmys. But in my opinion, absolutely, it is what music supervision is meant for, to like work hand in hand with the showrunner, Bill Lawrence, but also work hand in hand with the, like on the other side, you're creating a whole other show.
Yeah.
Like going to all these other artists and going, hey, can we do like an island vibe here? I want a road song here. I want to, take this big song, American Girl, and I want you to like bring it down a little bit and let's make it sad. Yeah. Like, and that's fucking great. That's like what music supervision should be.
Yeah. It's really well done. And it looks like there's going to be a season 2, which I'm kind of stoked on, because I want to revisit those characters again.
There is absolutely. Season 2 absolutely was renewed December 17th.
Fantastic. Excellent.
So
I
mean, Bill Lawrence is just on. I love Bill Lawrence Apple TV.
Yeah, I do too. I mean,
And also,
yeah.
I guess, Bill Lawrence / Krista Miller.
Yeah, I do love that creative collaboration between in that kind of way. I like obviously you can get your Plastic Ono band, or you can have like something like this that is just everything they're doing right now is wonderful.
Can I break some news?
Yeah,
Scrubs reboot is happening.
I saw and I heard it's the original cast.
Okay, so you already know. I'm not breaking.
I did.
Any news.
I love Scrubs. It's a bonding point for me and several close friends. So.
Okay, so it's worthless. Sorry about that.
Yeah, thanks
Sorry to
for
waste everyone's time.
like I'm losing wood. Thanks so much.
Wrong. Thanks for coming.
Let's wrap this sucker up.
All right, let's get to the last call. You got any last calls today that you want to throw out to anybody here?
I just like to shout out to all of my friends who are playing at the FireAIDLA show this weekend. They're some of them I know live in that area and have lost everything, and they're still going to go do this show.
Yeah,
which
just
is
keep
pretty.
in mind, a lot of behind the scenes workers, mixers, guitar techs. Vocalists. There's going to be a lot of people that you don't know that are playing this show. And those are some of the people that we know. And those are not the people that have, double $1 million houses and, everything's fine. They are still going to be a part of this. And that's great.
Yeah.
I don't know who's mixing it. I mean, there's two shows. So there's Intuit Dome and Kia Forum.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's got to be a certain mixer, right?
I would imagine so, and especially at this level, they've probably got some fucking legends up front of house.
I just wish you guys understood how hard that would be to sound check all of these bands.
Oh yeah,
like if you think about it, if you go from Billie Eilish, just think about it texturally, to Earth, Wind and Fire, whisper voice. To fucking 8-piece band, full horns, full everything, bass up as high as it goes. Like that is just, and then go to Lil Baby. And then after that, I would like you to go over here to Sting or to Rod Stewart. Yeah. That's going to be fun.
Yeah. Excellent.
It's going to be fun going from Green Day to Joni Mitchell.
Yeah. But these guys are built for that shit, man. They have it all in hand.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I bet the front of house area probably takes up the entire middle of the arena.
Everyone's in ears are going to be just like, bleeding and they're like, I can't hear anything. Bleeding. I can't hear anything.
No, that's that.
So there you go, everyone. All right, that's a wrap for us. Hey, make sure to subscribe and hit that bell on YouTube. It really does help us. And follow us on Spotify if you would like to. Give us 5 stars. Leave a silly or disgusting comment over on Apple Podcasts because there is no censorship anymore. So you can absolutely say whatever you want to say on Apple Podcasts, and it will get through. Cocksucker. And until we talk to you next week, this has been an audio exclusive with Michael St. James and Stuart Miller. That's 2 Shots Music Pod. Hope you guys have fun. Have a great week.
Have a great week. Love you. Bye-bye.
Love you. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye. No, seriously.